The Napoleonic invasion of Russia in 1812 stands as one of the most iconic and consequential military campaigns in history, a clash of titans that would shape the course of nations and alter the trajectory of one of the greatest military leaders of all time. This colossal conflict, often referred to as the Patriotic War of 1812 in Russia, unfolded against the backdrop of Napoleon Bonaparte's meteoric rise and the zenith of his Grand Army, a force that had swept across Europe with an aura of invincibility. At the outset, Napoleon's ambitions were multifaceted. His desire to enforce the continental system, a blockade aimed at strangling Britain economically, led to tensions with the Russian Empire, which remained unconvinced of the benefits of this embargo. Yet, the seeds of conflict were not solely sown in the diplomatic arena. Napoleon's insatiable hunger for conquest and the seemingly boundless expansion of his empire found an unexpected impediment in the vastness of Russia. The campaign began in June 1812, with the French Grande Armée, boasting nearly 700,000 soldiers, crossing the Neman River into Russian territory. Napoleon's strategic genius, honed on the battlefields of Austerlitz and Jena, initially seemed to prevail as Russian forces, under the command of Field Marshal Barclay de Tolly, adopted a scorched earth policy, retreating and employing guerrilla tactics to deprive the French of sustenance and strategic advantage. However, this tactical retreat proved to be a double-edged sword for the Russians. While it denied Napoleon the decisive battle he sought, it also exposed him to the brutal Russian winter, a force of nature that would become as formidable an adversary as any army. As the French advanced deeper into the heartland of Russia, the vast distances and logistical challenges strained their supply lines, and the crippling cold began to take its toll on both men and horses. The turning point came with the Battle of Borodino in September 1812, a bloody clash that would go down as one of the deadliest single-day battles in history. The Russian army, now under the command of General Kutuzov, offered fierce resistance, and though Napoleon emerged technically victorious, the heavy losses sustained by the Grande Armée eroded its invincibility. The French occupied Moscow shortly after the battle, but the city, rather than providing the expected capitulation, was consumed in flames set by its own citizens and evacuated by the Russian defenders. The occupation of Moscow marked a pivotal moment. Napoleon, expecting capitulation, found the city deserted and in ruins. The Russian strategy of denying him a decisive battle seemed to be working, pushing him further into the heart of Russia, stretching his supply lines to the breaking point. As the brutal Russian winter set in, the Grande Armée found itself trapped in a desolate and freezing landscape, ill-equipped and ill-prepared for the harsh conditions. The retreat from Moscow became an infamous ordeal, a harrowing saga of suffering and death. The biting cold, lack of provisions, and relentless attacks by Russian forces on the vulnerable flanks of the retreating French army decimated Napoleon's once mighty force. What had commenced as a seemingly invincible juggernaut now resembled a shattered and demoralized remnant of its former self. By the time the remnants of the Grande Armée crossed back over the Neman River in December 1812, the toll was staggering. The initial force of 700,000 had been reduced to a mere fraction of its former strength. The Russian campaign proved to be a staggering defeat for Napoleon, a blow from which his military reputation would never fully recover. It marked the beginning of the end for his ambitions of European dominance. The repercussions of the Napoleonic invasion of Russia were profound and far-reaching. The loss dealt a significant blow to the aura of invincibility that surrounded Napoleon, emboldening other European powers to challenge his hegemony. The ensuing War of the Sixth Coalition saw a resurgent alliance of European nations, including Russia, Prussia, and Austria, join forces against the French Empire. The fall of Napoleon, culminating in his abdication in 1814 and exile to the island of Elba, was directly precipitated by the failed Russian campaign. While he would escape and briefly return to power during the 100 Days, his final defeat at the Battle of Waterloo in 1815 would seal his fate, leading to exile on the remote island of St. Helena. The Napoleonic invasion of Russia thus stands as a monumental chapter in military history, a cautionary tale of the perils of overreach and the unforgiving nature of warfare. It was a campaign that tested the limits of human endurance and strategic acumen, leaving an indelible mark on the landscape of European geopolitics and shaping the destiny of nations for generations to come.